Good morning. It is Tuesday, December the 7th, Pearl Harbor Day, and this is The Drill. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host and the only true conservative in the United States today. Today, after the Daily Declaration for Spiritual Warfare, the recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance, and the singing of the Star-Spangled Banner, I will be having the reading an excerpt from No Free Lunch. We will talk about going back, no neutrality, make the presumption, gold standard, and equivocation. All that and more when I come back. Thank you. And now the Daily Declaration for Spiritual Warfare for December the 7th. I reign over all. Let the earth be glad, for I reign. Let the distant shores rejoice. The heavens proclaim my righteousness, and all the people will see my glory. I have made my salvation known and revealed my righteousness to the nations. I remember my love and faithfulness to my people. All the ends of the earth will see my salvation. I reign above all. I am clothed with majesty and robed with strength and power. I have established the world, and it cannot be moved. Prayer declaration. You have revealed your righteousness to us, and I will proclaim your salvation to all who need to hear of it. I will raise my voice to the nations and speak of your majesty and strength and power. I will proclaim your love and faithfulness wherever I go. And that was Amen. And that was the Daily Declaration for Spiritual Warfare for December the 7th. Thank you. And now a section from the book called No Free Lunch. Quote, successful companies create value by providing products or services their customers value more highly than available alternatives. They do this while consuming fewer resources, leaving more resources available to satisfy other needs in society. Value creation involves making people's lives better. It is contributing to prosperity in society. Unquote. And that's Charles Koch. Our defense of free enterprise must always come from the sequence and explanation of objectives. The aim of value creation is serving others, because without the service of others, there is no value creation. The alignment of interests between both sides of an economic exchange and the prosperity that creates at scale is the basis for our free enterprise defense. And this is something, you're true conservative, this is it. This is the way you defend free enterprise and defend capitalism and the free market system. One of the things that's to be noted here is that they're talking about providing services to customers, and that value creation involves making people's lives better, and that the aim of value creation is serving others. The idea that capitalism is a selfish enterprise is ignorant, and it is left-wing. The left wants everybody to believe that in order to be altruistic, in order to be compassionate, you have to be a socialist. You can't be a capitalist, and that's bull. The very fact of creating value and doing that through business is altruistic and service-oriented. And again, that comes from the book No Free Lunch. Thank you. More and more, I'm convinced that the overall aim politically for the true conservative is going back. If we look at California, we're in a mess, and we're in a mess because the left decided to do some experiments, and they did it without our permission. They did it without taking polls or surveys to find out whether or not the people of California wanted it. They just foisted it on us. Proposition 47, Proposition 109, among others, supposedly to ease prison overcrowding. Well, there's other ways to do that. One of them is expand the prisons we already have, and or build more prisons. But they don't want to hear that. So they let things fester until they get out of control. And then when the courts say, you got to do something about this, that's when they say, well, we have no choice. We're just going to have to let all the felons out. And then, gee, what a surprise when we have all the crime that we see here. Apparently in New York, a man was arrested for assault. He was released. He went back out and he beat up 2 women and was arrested and then released again. So right now we're getting closer and closer and closer to vigilante justice, because it's not going to take long before we're going to have a situation where either a victim or a witness is going to produce a weapon of some sort and use deadly force on somebody like the guy in New York. So, but anyways, we're marching towards that vigilante justice situation, and to get rid of it, we need to go back. We go back to bail. Number one, we go back to life in California pre-Prop 47, pre-Prop 109, and like what we're doing all over the state of California. There's a lot of people that are acting truly conservatively, whether they consider themselves to be truly conservative or not, by doing recalls. Recalls are another way to say, let's go back. Let's go back to the time before this butthole was elected to office. Right now, George Gascon his recall is back on. It was off for a while, and while the people that were proposing this got reorganized, now they've come back bigger, badder, and stronger than ever. Over $2.5 million in their war chest to get this done, and so hopefully he'll be gone sooner rather than later. But it's a go back situation. Let's go back to LA County pre George Gascon. So more and more of that. Also, what we have here is, and I don't hear anybody on the radio talking about this, is more and more minority rule. And so this comes from unionizing. So you unionize people. You have black unions, Hispanic unions. Of course, white people don't have a union, but not that I want one or anyone else would want one anyways. But Chinese people don't seem to have a union. People from India don't seem to have a union. The main ones are women's union, the Hispanic unions, and black unions. And black unions, I mean like the NAACP, the Urban League, the Rainbow Coalition, PUSH, organizations like that. The ones that are always monitoring other blacks to make sure that they stay black. And then with the Hispanics, it would be La Raza and organizations, similar organizations. So But those unions are composed minorities. They don't represent all Mexicans. They claim to, but they don't. They don't represent all blacks, although they claim to. So what you end up with is people with an extraordinary amount of political clout that are able to affect change that the majority doesn't necessarily want, and affect change that isn't necessary, and or affect change that is counterproductive. So that's one of the things that we need to do, is keep an eye on it and call it. As true conservatives, we need to say that when somebody's trying to do a minority rule, we need to call it exactly that and say minority rights, majority rule. Thank you. It seems that Hugh Hewitt is getting the message in terms of neutrality. The Supreme Court arguments on the case that is challenging Roe v. Wade, Hugh Hewitt noted when he was talking to Dr. Larry Arnn on his show a week ago that the Supreme Court or that the left wants everybody to be neutral on abortion, or at least they want the conservatives to be neutral on abortion. And then he understands, and you can understand then the why it is that I rail against neutrality, the cult of neutrality. If you're neutral, you're a zero. It means you have no efficacy. You are impotent, politically impotent. Okay? And then that's how the left, one of the ways that the left gets its way. So remember, don't be neutral. Promote your political positions, and starting with abortion, abortion has to go. It's homicide, period. Whether it's considered murder or manslaughter, whatever, I'll leave that to the lawyers to decide. But there is no doubt that what's going on here with abortion is homicide. So don't be neutral if you want things to be better. Now, it's another case or issue in which we want to go back. Don't allow the left to intimidate you. They will say, "Oh, well, we're not going back." And you can say, "Yes, we are." Because what you call progress is not progress. It's barbarity. And we will not be a barbarous society. We're going to be a civilization, and that's the end of it. And so we are going to go back to Roe v. Wade. And actually, if we're a really civilized society, we would create a constitutional amendment banning abortion flat out. And then that way the issue is settled forever. Because if it's homicide, and it is therefore for illegal, it's the only question is, what illegality is it? Is it manslaughter or murder? Then there's no reason for any of the states to legalize it either. And it should be banned throughout the United States. Thank you. I have said before that the Supreme Court is ineffective and is not doing its job because it doesn't truly understand what its job is. That there was a Supreme Court member that said that its job is to, the first thing that happens when you bring a case before the Supreme Court is the Supreme Court makes the presumption for the status quo. And that justice said that means that they presume that the statute that you are suing over is valid, and then put you in the position of proving a negative, of proving that the statute is not valid. But you're then in a position of proving a negative, which is impossible. And so then in cases in which there's an obvious unconstitutionality about a subject, then the Supreme Court has to do all kinds of tortuous reasoning in order to be able to manufacture to pull a rabbit out of a hat, so to speak. And that's what gives the the institution the appearance of being political in nature. And I went ahead and said that the way to solve this problem is for the Supreme Court to remember that the status quo legally is always the Constitution of the United States. That's the status quo. Because when where they're confused is they're confusing criminal law. For instance, you make the presumption for the status quo when a criminal or somebody accused comes before the court, and that's appropriate, but not appropriate in this particular situation because, again, the Constitution is the law of the land, and any statute necessarily either changes or supplements the Constitution of the United States. So it must be presumed that the Constitution is, if there's a conflict, and there is a conflict if the Supreme Court agrees to take the case, that the Constitution is valid, and it is the people that are promoting the statute that need to prove that the statute is constitutional. Now, having said all that, on the Dobbs case that was heard before the Supreme Court about a week ago, Justice Thomas alluded to this. He didn't say it explicitly, but when he asked the question, he asked one of the lawyers, where in the Constitution does the right to abortion appear? Ding, 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 ding. This is one of the situations in which a Supreme Court justice gets it. The Constitution is the law of the land, and that's where we make the presumption. We presume for the Constitution. Thank you. So listening to Barron's Roundtable are talking about crypto, and every day on CNBC you get to hear a little something about crypto. And crypto is a very left-wing oriented, and it's left-wing because it's imaginary. It has no intrinsic value. For that matter, neither does the dollar. The dollar is made out of paper and cotton and has no intrinsic value. However, gold, silver, platinum, other precious metals do have intrinsic value. That's the reason, since we want to be a value-oriented society, we got to go back to the gold standard. Thank you very much. Wall Street Journal at Large with Jerry Baker is on the weekends, and so he was interviewing. Mr. Jerry Baker was a couple of people. He had a faux debate that's very popular on television these days. You get a lefty and a righty, and then you ask a question. Each one of them get a shot at it. So in this particular case, he had Miss Lefty, who I believe was in the old Joe administration. Anyway, so he's asking a question about crime. He says that there's all kinds of criminal activity. We're swimming in crime. Is this what the American people want? And she comes back and equivocates, and she basically talks about crime in general, rather than answering the specific question about whether or not this is what Americans want. Now, Mr. Baker should have cut her off. As soon as she starts equivocating, he should have cut her off and told her, you're equivocating, answer the question. If you're not going to answer the question, then get off the air. It should have been exactly like that. Issue the ultimatum. And so anyway, she goes on. He allows her to basically filibuster for 30 seconds or a minute or so, talking about crime in general. That's one of the things that you want to do as a true conservative when you're listening to shows. Maybe it might be roundtables on CBS, NBC. They have their Sunday shows, for instance. And if you're going to listen to that, listen carefully and listen to see when a question is asked, the person that's answering the question, do they actually answer or attempt to answer the question, or do they equivocate? If it's a question about crime in general, do they come back with a specific answer? Or to put it a little bit more succinctly, if it's a general question, do they give a specific answer, or do they give a general answer? If it's a specific question, do they give a specific answer, or do they give a general answer? And if they're giving the general answer to a specific question, they're equivocating, they're ducking the question. But it makes it sound as though they're not. Thank you. And I wanted to remind everybody that to listen to the John and Ken Show. Also, Rick Edelman on Sundays. Rick Edelman comes on Sundays on KFI from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And the John and Ken Show is weekdays, Monday through Friday, 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock again on KFI. And both of them you listen to because these are folks that know how to communicate conservatively. They don't waffle. They don't equivocate. They know exactly what's going on, and they communicate that way. They think that way. They communicate that way. They make mistakes from time to time, whatnot, and understandable in that our culture is solidly left-wing, and our culture has a tendency to brainwash everybody into doing things the wrong way. So, but anyways, remember Rick Edelman, John and Ken Show, and check them out. So until next time, be honest, be smart, be beautiful, and remember that the left has no authority, no power, and they can't win.